serving soldiers from India, Pakistan, so many countries contributed, and of course the same similarly with World War II. So we've got to, yes, we are an island, but an isolationist island mentality is a very dangerous thing, and I deplore it and I will not accept it. So I was horrified that Blair had the arrogance to ignore what was an extremely important invitation. And I've had in the past Russian students, and they've told me that their families are still looking for corpses of relatives who died during World War II. So we've got to evolve. And of course, the mainstream media have a lot to answer for. And also the teaching of history is so important. And of course, it's been downgraded in isolationist oh dear, no, stop with this. It's enough. So I'm putting this from the perspective of a Russian, and it's lest we forget. So in other words, yes, Russia at the moment is in the grip of the most terrible political, well, almost like a prison. But we've got to understand and analyze how things got to this situation, and we have played a peripheral part, and that has to be acknowledged. It's just, well, no, I read the poem. Lest we forget, and I wrote this January 2014, recalling lessons from history on the eve of the $50 billion Sochi Winter Olympics. The pressure cooker exploded. The Bolsheviks had arrived. Remember how war followed war, and how we thought Tsardom had finally been swept aside? Remember the Treaty of Versailles. Remember the Wall Street crash. Remember the crushing humiliation and the desperate poverty visited on hard-working German people, industrious and proud like us. And lest we forget, should it not be said, that their lust for imperial power was not so very different from ours? Remember the siege of Leningrad, the living dead brave on every street. Remember the Gulag network, where cruelty was the regime. And after the fall of the USSR, the vultures descending from the West, eager to swoop and seize what they could, heaping scorn on us, while we endured a storm of chaos and contempt. So don't be surprised as we rise again if our leaders have turned tyrannical, exulting in the incendiary game of resurgent fascist nationalism that blankets us all in euphoria and shame, hiding lurking fears we are frightened to name. And the only way to change direction is to break free from the senseless system that transforms victims into brutal predators, chasing revenge down centuries of pain, leaving new generations of widows and orphans to howl and rail in the wind and the rain, groping and searching amid the debris for ways to put the fragments of lives carelessly shattered back together once again. So let us resolve, with history in mind, to break the paradigm brutal, entrenched in crazed, calamitous contests that can destroy with wanton haste what has taken centuries to create.